Hi, everybody. Welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. It's Sunday afternoon here on the West Coast, and I'm a little later than I normally am because I had my very first in-person class today. I can't believe it. So after almost 2 3/4 years, um, my first class. It was so much fun to have people actually meeting in person and making some cards. So we did this as part of my monthly card club. So if you're interested in that, if you live local to me and you're interested in my club, let me know because our next one comes up let's see, November, and it features Abigail Rose. And I also have a mail option for the kit. So if you're interested, let me know. But it was so much fun to get together. All right, so today I'm going to use the Apple Harvest Suite. Hello. Um, don't forget to give StreamYard permission so that I can actually see who's commenting. You go to streamyard.com/Facebook and give permission, and then I can actually see names because I actually don't see it through StreamYard, which is the application I use. All right, I'm using Apple Harvest today and make a card. It's a very stormy, blustery day here, and this just kind of reminds me of summer. So I thought that I would pull it out and make a card. So let me switch over. Now I'm going to try something different. I don't know what this is going to look like. And if you can let me know what you see, if you see two different screens, let me know. If you actually see my desktop with just a little picture of me, let me know. Otherwise, I'll flip it back to just being what I know as being one screen. All right, so this is the Apple Harvest Suite. It is a photo. No, it's actually a rubber stamp. And it's got some really great images. If you were lucky enough to get the dies that coordinated with this as part of the Perfect Partners promotion, they are amazing to cut out. Today, I'm not going to cut out any of the actual images. I have got a piece of basic white that I've already gone ahead and cut out. Oh, great. Oh, two screens. Okay, so this isn't working. So let me switch over to just this one. There we go. Maybe that's better. I have to play with this. Okay, so I've cut this out. I'm using the scallop contour dies. And so I've cut this piece out using the second largest. And then I cut this piece out using from the Gingham, I think this is called Gingham Cottage Designer Series paper, and this is in Garden Green. So it's going to be behind there. So that's the largest of the scallop contours. Okay, I think we're hopefully back to one screen now. Okay, so I've got a piece of thick basic white cardstock. And this is 4 1/4 by 11. So welcome, Deborah, welcome. Lori, welcome. Terry, welcome. Glad you guys could join me. All right, so 4 1/4 by 11. I'm scoring it at 5 1/2. And as always, fold into the mountain or the raised line. Just gives you a better fold and you get a better line. The two pieces will line up better on the bottom. Okay. So now I can take, oh dear, no, what am I going to do? I think this one. Yeah, okay, we're going to adhere this on. All right. So we'll just use glue, whatever your favorite adhesive is, and we're just going to adhere this on to my card base. I love this paper. I don't have the bundle or the suite that went along with it, but I did get the paper, and oh, it's so pretty. All right, so let's take, and I'm going to use this one here. Now, I'm going to make it into apples, but I think, you know, these could be made look like oranges or peaches or all sorts of fruit because they're not necessarily obviously an apple, but I'm going to make them an apple. So when I have a bigger stamp, I tend to ink it from the top. I find it easier than trying to figure out where I've stamped. And then I'm just going to take and stamp. I'm going to lose some room at the bottom because that's where I'm going to put my sentiment. So we'll just stamp this here. Make sure I press down. So I'm stamping in Tuxedo Black Memento. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to do some coloring. So I pulled a whole bunch of different, now we don't have garden green blends. So I pulled some different greens. So I've got Old Olive and I've got Granny Apple Green. I pulled some Crumb Cake for my stems. I pulled some Daffodil Delight and some Real Red because I thought that I could make my apples maybe kind of like a gala where you have both the yellow and the Real Red. So I'm going to actually start with my lightest, and I'm going to lay down, I guess these could be Golden Delicious too with this color. I'm going to lay down a layer of the light Daffodil Delight. And when you're coloring with blends, they don't have to be, like you don't actually have to always blend the light and the dark of the same color. So for example, for this one, I'm going to start with the Daffodil Delight and then I'm going to bring in the light Real Red and do some blending. Lots of ways to use the blends. I'm thinking this would look really pretty, make these into peaches using pale papaya and a little bit of, there's one here too, a little bit of maybe pumpkin pie. And the nice part is, you may not be able to see this. There we go. The stamp actually has some shaded spots on it, which is really nice to be able to do some actual blending. So let's just kind of take and go around. This is the light Real Red that I'm doing over top of the Daffodil Delight. And then we'll go back in and kind of blend this if we can. I'm going to kind of go in again with some of this. Almost get a pinky tone. It's almost like a, I think it's called My Fair Lady. Hey, Vicky. Oops, that's the wrong one. So I'm just trying to kind of blend the obvious lines, and I think I need to add a little bit more here. When you get these apples that have the multicolors in them, you kind of get them in a mottled look. So that's what I'm trying to reproduce here. So. A little bit. Just kind of working it to get the color how I want. Does that kind of look like, I don't know, maybe it doesn't look like an apple that's got both the red and the yellow on it, but that's my goal here. We'll see how this works. All right, and then just let's add a little bit of red here. This one that's kind of hidden. Oh, windy today. Yeah, it's stormy here. In fact, one of my customers that was coming to my in-person class comes, it's about a 45-minute drive, and she wasn't so sure she was going to be driving in the storm. But luckily it wasn't bad here. All right, so there's my kind of yellow orange apples. We'll give those a rest now. I'm going to go back. I'm going to add, this is going to be for the stems. This is crumb cake. I'm using the lighter of the crumb cake for the stems. That's it. Okay, and so now let's do some different colors of apples. I'm going to start with, that's the dark, the light granny apple green. And then I'm going to go in over it with the old olive. I love to color. I don't know if that's your thing, but I really love to color. Again, I always start with the light. And there's a reason, I don't know if you can see that, good reason why you always have, you never stamp, like I don't want to be coloring on my card base, because the alcohol blends will bleed through. So you always want to have a piece of grid paper or a piece of scrap paper underneath, because you will end up with the color bleeding through. There you go. There's a lot of leaves here. Not sure what that is behind. That might be some vine behind that I missed. Definitely something that needs to be colored in behind there. You could even add some green to your apples, because sometimes the apples haven't completely ripened. Let's just get my, I don't know what that is. I'm going to assume it's a vine. It may actually be part of a leaf, but anyway. All right, I'm going to use my dark old olive and just kind of add in some down the veins. I'm not exactly following all the lines, but just adding some color to my leaves. And again, I'll come in and blend this again. Just add some detail. Making sure I get the just kind of going over that. So I don't want to blend it completely out, but I do want to kind of just blend it a little bit. And really what you're doing is just adding another layer of color onto it. There we go. All right. Oh yeah, coloring is therapeutic. I like fussy cutting too. Maybe there's something about people who like to fussy cut also like to color. I probably no correlation with that, but all right. I have pulled a piece. This is the natural woven ribbon, and it is more of a very vanilla, but I don't mind the combination of the white and the very vanilla. And I'm just going to take and cut this bottom seam off, and you'll hopefully see, I'm not going to cut all the way. I just want a piece that is about the width of my rectangle. That's the word I was trying to think of. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere my rectangle using dimensionals. It's quite a big piece, so I'm going to make sure I put one in the middle so the middle doesn't sag on it. Get the backings off. Oops. And we'll put that on like that. Fairly straight. Okay. So I'm just going to take this, and the reason I cut that bottom off is I'm going to just take my take your pick tool and I'm just going to fray this bottom. I learned this yesterday on a stamp camp from Mashwari Rajaguru, who from Australia, who showed everybody how to do this. And I just love to manipulate and kind of play with ribbon and change what the ribbon looks like. And so take the seam off of that bottom and then just fray as much as you like to fray. You can kind of just pull it, and now you get a piece of ribbon that's kind of got a fringe on it. And I'm just going to take and cut, or put this on. I'm going to just use some Stampin' Seal along the bottom like that and put this on there. And then I'm going to just take and trim this a little bit. Just some detail like that. Okay, so now we need a sentiment. So I pulled just a scrap piece of basic white. And what I'm going to do is, this is the sentiment that says, the greatest gift is a good friend. I really like this sentiment. I like the fonts on this because it's kind of a mixture of fonts. It's got some script, it's got some bold or some block font. And now I'm just going to take and fussy cut, because I like to fussy cut. So I'm just going to take and cut this into, I could have cut a piece that was 1/2 inch by, oh, it's probably about 4 inches. But I'm just going to take and cut this into a rectangle, and then I'm going to cut the words apart, because I'm going to put them kind of on the bottom here. So I've got the greatest, and then I've got gift, and then friend. Okay, and so now I can cut these to be a little bit smaller. Just kind of, and then I'm going to adhere them. I just kind of like to mix up the font so it's not all in a line. Or mix, not the font, the sentiment. Okay, there's my pieces. So now let's take some mini dimensionals. I always find I have a hard time with the mini dimensionals, just my fingers seem to be too big for them. So using the piercing tool on your take your pick tool to get them off of the backing, or your main piece or your main sheet of them, I just find it easier. And then I can also use the take your pick tool to get the backing off of them when I go to put them on. Okay, there we go. All right, so that's the first, the greatest gift. So I'm just gonna take and put them the greatest gift is oh, I need gift first. The greatest gift, and then we'll do is a good, trying not to cover my entire fringe up. So friend, let's move that a little bit. Oops. And there we go. Now, I didn't pull any embellishments off, or out, so we'll just leave it like that. What I did pull, so I don't even need an inside for my card, but what I did have was an extra piece. As always, I save my little bits, and I had this piece of the designer series paper. So I think I'm just going to I'm just going to put liquid adhesive across the bottom. I'm going to trim this. I was going to put it down the side, but I realized I cut it too short. So I'm just going to put it across the bottom like that, leaving a 1/4 of an inch or so, 1/8 of an inch. And then I can take and just trim this excess off. So don't throw away your little pieces of designer series paper. Use them on the inside of your cards, but make sure you use them. Otherwise you could be like I used to be, where I would save all my bits, and then at the end of, I don't know, 6 months, I would go through and throw them into the recycling. You don't want to do that. So use them up. Use them on the inside of your cards. Use them on your envelopes. But there we go. There is an apple card. A little bit different colors for the apples, but I kind of like it. I think it's bright and cheery, and on this kind of blustery, stormy day here, it just kind of makes me happy. So there we go. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you do some coloring, because I agree with Vicki. It's definitely therapeutic. So spend some time and play with blending of color. It's really fun, and don't think you have to use always just the light and dark of the same color. You can mix them up and see what you can create with it. All right, I will be live again on Tuesday night with my sketch challenge at 6:30 Pacific. Thanks, Deborah. I hope you join me then. And otherwise, hope you are able to spend some time in your craft room, and have a great day. Happy stamping. Bye.